Okay, so today's assignment, shadows, just shadows. So I want you to do 5 to 10 shadow drawings using pastel on 18 by 24 toned paper. If you have this, that's excellent. It's my favorite. If you can't get this, the Strathmore uh, tan and gray paper can work very effectively also. You just can't slide it around as much. So work from the New Masters reference library for the figure work. So if you can go and join a life drawing class to do some of these, that's going to also be a real bonus for you because you're going to be under a time limit. And that forces you to sort of make decisions you wouldn't normally make if you're working from reference, where you've got all the time in the world to sit and noodle and get all, pretty with it. It forces you like, oh man, I got to make hay. I got to like get it down because they're going to cut the pose in a minute and I'm going to have to move on. That forces a whole other mindset that's really worth delving into. It's worth continually experimenting with that. The other thing I was going to say is that the Japanese have a word for a simple sketch similar to this, actually very much like this, called notan, Notan. And this particular exercise, you can also, I'm not saying do it for the assignment, but in your sketchbooks, it is a thing to continually play with and work with in your sketchbooks to help you learn about composition and about shape design, shape welding, grouping, all of those things. And it's just solid black line, right, with a brush, let's say, and just working entire scenes that way. Solid black, thinking of just the shadow shapes, which will create your positive shapes. And then, make sure you have border on it and how do they hold up and continually work with that. But you could also I could take a brush and play with one of these and just do, it won't have the same, like I couldn't play around with it unless I broke out a brush with water to play with, halftone. But just that solid brush work, like a sumi brush, forcing you to deal with just shadow shapes is a great exercise by itself as well. And does it hold up? Does it read effectively and strongly? Effectively and strongly. So that's a thing to play with in your sketchbooks, and I urge you to do it as often as possible. But always put a box around the drawings you make, and don't just stick things in the middle, like I've done here. This is for demonstration. Crop it in an interesting way. Think outside the box, right? Make figures, get them out of the center, push them off to the side, crop them like crazy, and you'll see it creates a new dynamism to the things you're doing. I'm not going to do it, but if I put a box on this guy, I could force you to feel something totally different than this large, sort of almost dance move. The tension would be greater, but it would also really focus even more on aspects of the figure that we're not focusing on necessarily on a full figure. Okay, so these are things to play with in your sketchbook constantly, all the time. Draw boxes, fill them, or draw a picture, and then just arbitrarily cut it with a box and see how it holds up. These are great things to do. You're going to learn a lot about composition, tension, eye trips, eye traps, pushing the eye, forcing us to go where you want us to go. All good stuff. Have fun.